The rage. Rewind 4 months. My wife of 15 years was spending a couple of months overseas with our 2 girls for my job. I'll spare you all the details of the visit, but she was distant when she arrived. I pressed for discussion. God, I don't know if I have the same feelings for you as I used to. We both agreed that we need to go to marriage counseling to get to the root of our issues. Fast forward a couple of weeks later. It became too hard for her to keep up with her job in the States. I had 7 HRS in time in Europe. Being the understanding person that I am, I agreed with her that it would probably be best for us not to be under any additional stress, and that this would be a time to regroup for the marriage work that would lie ahead of us when I returned in 8 weeks. My sixth sense told me there could be something more to this than work, and so I logged into her email and found all the evidence of an affair that had been going on shortly before her departure to come join me, along with an itinerary for the OM to visit upon her early return. Needless to say, I was crushed. I confronted her immediately, although that visit from the OM never materialized, and she assured me she had gone no contact. I later found a burner email account with all the glorious things that accompany affairs in this digital age: photos, romantic exchanges, receipts for hotels from my home city, etc. She, of course, said it was my fault that she had to pursue a relationship outside our marriage. I made all the cardinal mistakes. I pursued, begged, pleaded. I told her I would work with her to make the changes she needed so that we could glue our family and everything that we worked build over the last 15 years back together. I am wrong for trying so hard to get us to repair when she wanted space to work on herself. She only turned that space into time to work on her new relationship anyway. It's almost for certain that we are headed to divorce mediation. I am crushed. All that we have worked for just poof, without even a last-ditch effort to put the train back on the tracks. What the hell is wrong with me? Why do I continue to want this woman back and hope that somehow she will wake up and see that breaking up a marriage is going to create a whole new set of problems? When does the delusion of hope end? When do you finally come to the place that you truly believe that your life will be better without them? At times I have not been as emotionally connected as I should because of work. We also have ongoing issues where she makes major decisions about finances, vacations without my input, and I shoot myself in the foot by yelling, escalating the issue. Angry, only not using it to move on, but have been channeling that energy to try to get her to see the light. I know I can't control anyone else's actions, only my own. That's what I need to get through my thick head. It's pathetic of me, isn't it? The kicker is she tells me that her therapist said that it is understandable that this happened, given the issues in our marriage. Says that the affair is a consequence of the issues in our marriage, not the cause of the problems in it, and therefore refuses to talk about it. Well, seems to me that her affair did create problems, albeit new ones, for the marriage. No, I did expose the affair to her parents and friends. It only served to piss her off. Said I was creating drama like I always do. Also, has simply told everyone what a horrible husband I have been, that she never would have done this if I had been there for her the way she needed me to be. She does not give a crap, to be honest. She the queen of blame shifting. I filed. She responded by saying, let's go to mediation and not spend all our money on lawyers. Waiting to go to mediation now. My understanding is that he has been separated from his wife for 5 years. So she probably does not care, or he makes a living of doing this kind of thing. Unfortunately, I can't ditch the therapist. It is who she sees and I see. She sits in MC and refuses to even talk about how we might move towards a place where she might feel like she can take another crack at the marriage. We are living separate, so it's really difficult to get anywhere. She's in the house with our 2 girls. Now, I am out looking for a place of my own after returning from abroad. Yeah, I know. She should move out. I don't want to displace our kids or keep them from living with mom. To be honest, if I moved back in, she'd just wait till I left and take off with the kids, I'm sure. But whatever, she's living there, but I am not paying for anything. The problem is she may stop at nothing to get her way, like calling the police and saying that I threatened her. I have not, but in casually dropping that it's my house too and I am simply going to move back, she has threatened that she would do it. The other issue is that I don't want her fleeing to family out of state with my girls. Simply will be a nightmare to get them back. Really, as I write this all out, it is becoming so obvious that she is just not worth it. To be blunt, she's always had control issues, to which I respond poorly, and is manipulative when she has to get what she wants. She is definitely manipulative and controlling. A couple of weeks back while I was in town having a casual conversation on our patio when the OM came up, I got up and said, maybe you should be locked out of the home since you're the one that wants to leave this marriage. I got up, went in the back door, and locked it, just for a couple of seconds. She was still outside. Her mind exploded, said she was going to call the cops. I opened the door and said see how it feels, and left. But now I do feel as though I should do it for real. To be honest, I have created plenty of drama myself, yelling, kicking, screaming, etc. after finding out. I'm no saint. Been a real jerk at times in the past, but her affair is not my fault and something that I feel is perfectly reasonable to express anger over. This leads to the whole see nothing has changed speech. Well, excuse me, you had an affair and lied about, and I'm freaking really angry about it. The whole thing is an awful downward spiral. We are not talking, or communicating anymore, which is difficult because I have always been the one who wants to discuss and solve things when they come up. She retracts, and I push more for resolution. She retracts even further. It's an awful cycle that leads to nowhere, and has slowly brought our marriage to where it is now. I acknowledge my role, but of course, she has done nothing wrong in either the marriage or with her ongoing PA. Is it the guilt over my role in the marital dysfunction, and the missed opportunities for our children that will come along with division of assets that accompany divorce? I don't really think she has thought about the latter in any objective way. Or do I still really love her? Part of me does feel like she may have lost her way, and I feel for that, and should be the strong one, and hold out, and maybe the fog will clear. The other part of me knows the reality of these situations. Once a woman goes this far, they rarely come back. I am outside the walls of my life now, both figuratively and literally speaking. As much as hate it, doing the 180 for me is probably my only choice. Moving back and has only gone to serve to keep me from moving on. Unless there is a way to do both. Don't know if I am built for that though. 6 months into my separation hell now, spurred by wife's infidelity, I still continue to have a really hard time with my emotions. Wish the hope would just end. It's insane really on my part to even go to that place. Neither of us has filed yet, but we are going to mediation in 2 weeks to begin negotiations regarding parenting plans, division of assets, etc. I guess we will file once the ball is rolling with those issues. I so don't want the D, but she has refused to even see if we might be able to get to a place where the R is even just a possibility. Unfortunately, I also continue to let her run my emotions. Just yesterday, after she dropped the kids for my 4 days with them, she hopped a plane. The infuriating part about it is that she took off without even mentioning she was leaving the state. I only found out because an emergency came up at work and I was unable to get to the family home to relieve the sitter in time. She's usually there, so I text her and say I'll be about a half hour behind schedule, and I'll get the kids from here. She texts back that she can't do it because she made plans. She did not discuss them because she got a cheap flight last minute. Did not reveal her whereabouts, obviously with OM, or when she will arrive home when asked. What the hell? Leaving town is fine, but what if there is an emergency involving me or the kids? Don't tell anyone where you are or when you are scheduled to return. Somebody smacked me upside the head because for some reason I still have a soft spot in my heart for this woman. I am living in this fantasy of what our marriage once was, and what I always hoped it would be. Why is it so damn hard for logic to override emotions? At this point, I wonder if she eventually just might not come back home at all at some point in the future. She is a good mom and plays she wants what's best for the kids' routine, but she seems to be getting more unpredictable as this whole thing unfolds. Can't trust anything that comes out of her mouth. So sad. I shared a life in bed with her for 15 years. Today is going to be a rough one. The wife still remains on her secret vacation with OM. Today is the day we do the kid switch. Not a mention of when she is returning, or even what time to make the switch. Hope I can keep it under control. It's heartbreaking to know she's been off sleeping with him for the last 4 days. I am strange blend of angry and sad. We'll definitely need to stay strong when we meet to exchange the girls. I hope I can hold it together emotionally and say nothing to her. Affair was exposed to family and friends months ago. OM is in the thick of his own divorce. She knows I have been available for R. The constant rejection and disrespect are beginning to wear me thin, I think. Comments. You need to go to no contact. Being Plan B will likely only make you Plan B for the next several OM. It won't get you respected. OP responds. NC with young children is oh so easy in theory but not in practice. What difference will it make after months of being available? The occasional pleading. Hope I can do it going from here forward. I am tired of trying to convince her that we should put the D on hold and that I am willing to walk through hell to put our family back together. It's so easy to be a pathetic, begging mess that wants to turn back the clock to when things were so good. I am baffled by how little self-respect I have with this woman. Trying to implement the 180. Upon her arrival back from her secret vacation with OM, I said very little. Did not do the please come back grovel that is typical of me. But I was not able to act as detached as I hoped. Asked her how she does this. She responded because you were never sweet to me. What the hell? Such BS. I simply said, yeah right, was never sweet to you in the 15 years we're together. The history rewriting is so sad. Anyway, about an hour after I drove off, she texts saying she needs the pool passes for tomorrow and to drop them off. Normally I would respond quickly saying okay, but I did not at all. An hour later another text, about some math worksheets, of which there are literally hundreds in her place, that she also wants me to drop by. I don't respond, because neither message requires a response. Half hour later my cell rings, I don't pick up. So, a couple of successes her, albeit small ones. Seems like she is looking for excuses to contact me. I need to take the power she has over my emotions away from her. Still, in my wildest dreams, I wish she would come back, even though I know deep in my heart that she is long gone. I struggle to keep my mouth shut. I don't need this woman to be happy, because the payment for our mediation is due today. Do I text her and simply say I won't pay for my half, because I don't want the D? It worries me because I don't want to get slapped with papers and have to hire an attorney. Neither one of us want to give all our money to attorneys. A small victory here perhaps. I simply did not respond to the request to split the mediator's retainer fee. She put the entire fee on her credit card. If she asks for half, well, I will say I am not okay with paying for a divorce I don't want. I have to say today is the best day I have experienced in the last 6 months. I feel good that I have not responded to her unnecessary texts. Dropped the pool passes on the back porch, did not even let her know I was there. Best of all, when I was driving into work, I saw her on her run. She clearly saw me driving past, kept laser focus and pretended I did not see her. This by itself was kind of interesting because it is a route that goes right by the parking lot of M office and is one that she never takes. I think she may be checking up on where I am since I have not responded to her. Now I need to get to a place where I don't care whether my lack of contact is affecting her. Regardless, I feel better than I have in months. It's a relief to finally be heading into a space where I no longer feel compelled to be a groveling, sad, angry, and apologetic mess. It's not all me, and I get that, for real now. Mornings are the emptiest time for me. I miss my bed and waking up next to her. God, I loved that woman with my whole being. Have to remind myself how she became so rigid and devalued me over time. I ended up with no voice, and that's not a sustainable relationship. Looking forward to a day when I find someone with compassion, who values me, and who loves me for who I am. The lack of having a voice played a big part in fueling what eventually became our toxic dance. I'd bend, say I'm not okay with this. Got me nowhere, other than making me a depressed, angry man. I should feel some sense of relief that I am free of her emotional backhanding. But I still dream that we might somehow try to fix it. I know that's not going to happen though because she would actually have to step up and share some of blame for the demise of our marriage. No way in hell that will ever happen. Finally started to see how unattractive I had been. At least I am there now. I'm going to hold strong, because she will surely try to take advantage of my big heart in our mediation. Neither of us has filed for D and there has been no talk of when. I guess it's not over until then. Regardless, I am going dark except for the kids and issues surrounding the division of our assets. God, this hurts. She's still in the house and can't afford to pay for it long term. So, we need to figure that out. Do I buy her out? Do we sell? OM lives out of state and I don't want to be responsible when she racks up debt traveling and staying in expensive hotels, which is what continues to this day. Also, need to get parenting plan worked out and legal. OM lives out of state and I don't want to chance her taking off with my girls. Just got another very terse email from her about providing documents for next week's appointment with the mediator. Man, I so never imagined we would come to this. It will be years before I get out of this emotional hole. Going on 3 days with absolutely no contact at all. I get the kids back today, so we'll have to see her when we make the switch. Seeing her even briefly stirs up a lot of emotion. Can't stand that. I let her have way too much power over me. 2 short texts to wife about nothing else other than time and place for the kids switchover. Felt good. About 2 minutes after responding to her text of what time, with nothing other than 4 p.m., she drops a text asking me if she should make and send over a loaf of bread. No response from me. What the hell? I don't care what you bake or where you send it. Now, zen-like detachment for the pickup. Pulled it off. No expression of emotion on my part. She brought up a credit card bill, wanted me to pay my half without seeing it. I asked to see it. She seemed annoyed but complied. I did not see any affair business charges. Agreed to pay my charges, of course. She said we will split the mediator's retainer fee on her card, and to include that when I cut the check for my charges. I said I'm not okay with paying for something that I don't want. The D is her choice, so she can pay it. She was dumbfounded, and could not even come up with a response. I'm sure she tries again to get it out of me. I'm not going to cough it up though. Feeling alright. Feels good to have a pair for a change. So apparently my changes may be having some effect on her. Got another text about 2 hours after the switch. It was about my 8-year-old daughter, who she noticed has gained a little weight and not to say anything about it to her. The message in no way requires a response, so my inclination is to stick to being dark, since she almost never initiates text, especially once we have made the kids switch. But I also don't want to seem like I'm a dad that does not care. Wow, just had a short phone conversation with STB ex-wife about issues to be discussed in mediation on Monday. I told her I don't see the need for mediation, since we have already discussed them and we seem to be in agreement with how the settlement will be drawn up. The D came up. I told her I won't be filing since it is not something that I want. Full-on emotional and verbal assault from her, blaming me for the failure of the marriage and her need to step out with someone else. You see, I got us to this place all by myself. Can't say that it did not tear my heart out. Felt like my heart was going to pound right out of my chest. Seriously, now that I am no longer in a complete fog, I see that the only way that I could have pleased her is to lay down. She puts me down and reprimands me and orders me around like a child. Complete and utter BS. I have worked my ass off to help get us where we are. I have a damn PhD and am more than successfully employed. Yeah, now I know how I ended up a depressed, angry man. Years of being devalued and emotional backhanding to get me to give in to what she wants. And exactly why have I been hoping there is in our future? No way we could ever be. I can't be with someone that has no ability to see themselves in anything. It's strange she completely avoids using the D word at great lengths. Must be a denial that she is doing this to us thing. I also think she may figure there is something in it for her to become legally separated, but not divorce. Who knows, she's always made all her moves within our life in a very cryptic way. Passive-aggressive control freak. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around this situation. I am baffled and frustrated how she has no interest in putting back together our marriage and family. Really, our 2 little girls don't deserve us all under one roof. The life that we built for the last 15 years has so little worth. Sure, we developed our share of issues, but now they are really out in the open so they can be worked on. I'm not a quitter, so it's just so hard to accept that we are over. That life, that was once so beautiful, I guess it's now dead. Maybe it's me that's living in a fantasy now, not my STBX. We have hit the key to moving forward and healing here. We will remain an emotional heel until we accept that there is not a damn thing we can do to change our spouses. I am so goddamn sick of this ride. Right now, I am staring through a wall of tears, with pings of rage mixed in. She is a piece of crap, and I'm a fool for loving her and believing in her. Who the hell is this woman? Hope that wonderful OM goes and sleeps with somebody else, so that she is left holding the bag one day. Deep breaths. Amazing, she called this morning all cheery. She said, "How are doing?" Really? Then she rolls into saying something's wrong with the wireless router, hinting along the lines of me helping her fix when we switch the kids. Are you kidding me? It's delusional, I'll tell you. She won't do or discuss a damn thing about us. But yeah, I'm supposed to stand in as the handy husband when she needs it. I did not offer to help. Said I will see you soon to pick up the girls. Had a short sit down with her about next month's co-parenting schedule. Breaks my heart to shuttle the kids around like this. I said, this is how you want to live life going forward. She said, well, this is how it is for right now. What the heck does that mean? I know, detach and observe. We are both and I see. I'm not sure what she is getting out of hers. I think she just reads whatever her counselor says as supporting her walking out. A month or so back she told me her counselor said she should break it off with OM for 3 to 6 months before deciding on divorce. 2 weeks later she says her counselor supports her in continuing on with OM. What counselor is going to encourage someone to pursue another relationship before even being divorced? I think it is going to be a protracted process though, given the geographic distance. They just can't see each other regularly to see each other's flaws in handling daily living issue. And what a show it is. The voicemails I have heard from this trash are filled with nothing but empty praise. It's so obvious from a guy's perspective what he is after. She buys the fantasy of this is who this guy really is. Damn, I just need to get some already. Walking into mediation now. Guess it's time to blow up everything we built together. So don't want to be here. Wow, it is so depressing to divide up everything that you worked for. We really were sitting pretty, living the dream. I am so sad to see our dream shatter. The onset of the separation was hell, but this hole seems to have no bottom. I see no closure on the horizon. I am dead inside, a shell of a human being. At least one thing is becoming clear to me. I lost myself in that marriage. I need to find me again, whoever that is. So, is it normal for the leaving spouse to lay all the blame for the failed marriage on the left-behind spouse? How much shouldering of blame is too much? I guess I always viewed marriage as complex dynamic between two people, making it difficult to say the successes or failures can be attributed solely to one or the other. I loved my ex deeply, but I did do some crummy things throughout my marriage, although I always remained faithful and never sought validation outside of my marriage. I hold a great deal of guilt for not waking up sooner, before it was too late to keep my family together. Yet, I continue to struggle with my STBX's inability to communicate her dissatisfaction in a clear way. I think that the inability of her to accept some responsibility is what prevents the possibility of R for us. There's no validation or acknowledgement of what I have said. For me anyway, this has been one of the most difficult aspects of breaking up. There is no closure. So why is it that some of us are so willing to accept our faults? I think it may be that kind of humility that gets us into relationships that are not sustainable in the long term. I am always worrying whether what I am doing is good enough. I certainly look for validation outside myself. I also worry about how getting my needs met might impact other people. I think this is why my STBX wife fell for me in the first place. She saw me as driven to push the envelope professionally. She also saw me as more sensitive than men she had been in prior relationships with. Over time, I think the qualities that brought us together are what drove us apart. She took advantage of my lack of confidence to take control of our marriage. And, over time I grew more and more frustrated with not being able to have a voice. I also began detaching emotionally as a defense to limit my frustration with being devalued. Sad stuff. Wish I saw this sooner. It's amazing how hard it is to see it when you are in it. I am still having a heck of time detaching myself. She appeared last night in a dream for the first time since we separated. I slipped up and sent her a text saying how I wish this was all a bad dream and that I would wake up. She texted back later. Had nothing to do with my text. She was complaining about how she does not have a steady income and hopefully she could make enough in commission to support herself. I think the reality is sinking in some now. I was going to text back your choice, but I did not bother. It's all been pretty surreal. I went off on sabbatical and never came back to my home. We had issues for sure, but she's no doubt flipped her lid. I don't think she has really processed the full extent of what she has pushed forward. I guess it's kind of hard to see clearly when you've been focusing on a fantasy relationship for the past 6 months. I know that letting go is the key to me moving on and healing. I just can't seem to do it even after how badly she has treated me. Maybe it's the continual contact because of the kids. The back and forth about finances. She really struck a nerve when she dropped me a text where she slipped in a comment about how she hopes she can make enough to support herself, 100% commission employed. I know it's unhealthy, but I am concerned she is not taking the time to make a careful decision. I hate not being able to get her out of my mind. Everything is just such a damn mess, and it doesn't need to be. Seriously makes me want to puke that she can blow up everything we built like this. She is acting like a selfish teenage girl, and right now, it's easy to keep up the act. Nothing has changed in her daily life. Still living in our house, same daily routine, and she gets to communicate with Am unimpeded. It's got to come crumbling down at some point, right? I am learning that the emotional part and logical part of my brain are not well connected. That I need to find a way to let go of her and her choices. That I need to learn to love myself. I'm stupid. I just asked my STBX if she has any interest in meeting for coffee. She responded that she has appointments today and tomorrow, but maybe Monday, depending on what I want to talk about. I know she has no interest in working towards reconciliation now, or maybe ever at all. But do I set something up and say not a word about our relationship? If we were by some strange miracle able to turn this mess around, it would have to start with baby steps and simply being comfortable around each other again. Is it so wrong to simply want to look her in the eyes and have a conversation? I am a mess. I don't think she wants me to chase her. She's done. Then again, maybe she gets some kind of satisfaction out of rejecting me. I just have no dignity with her. Never have. She calls all the shots, always has. I get angry for her passive-aggressively running roughshod over me. Then I end up being the problem. It's quite the trap, and I end up in it all the time. Wow, what a morning. I awoke to find one of my vehicles missing from the parking lot in front of my apartment. Phoned the police to report it stolen. Took the kids to the family house. Front door was wide open. No STBX anywhere in sight. I rang her. Voicemail, of course. I leave a message asking where she is, explaining that the front door of the home was open and told her about my truck. She called back shortly. She was at the mechanics. Told me that her car would not start last night. She had it towed and took a cab, used a spare set of keys and helped herself to my vehicle. No message that she took it, said she did not want to wake me and the kids. I was ticked and my voice showed it. No profanity, no name calling. Regardless, she accused me of yelling. Only offered an apology after I told her she owed me one. We had a sit-down discussion. Talked about a lot of stuff. Setting in violation of boundaries. Relationship issues came up too. I told her I don't want a divorce. I then asked her if she really wanted to be divorced. She said no. We talked a little about whether we might be together in the future. No solid yes or no. Just I know I don't want to be with you today or tomorrow. She expressed emotions about not seeing the man she needs me to be. I'm not confident and together. She does not see a happy me when I am around, and said why would she want to be with a guy like that? I can see where she is coming from. I asked her to put herself in my shoes, and how would she feel? She sidesteps the whole issue. I guess I get no points for being the one who was turned completely upside down. Stroked her hair before she went inside and I told her I miss our quiet evenings at home together. She did not say anything. The look in her said that she misses those times too. We both cried, at which point she quickly shut down the conversation and went inside to work. I still love her and I am more confused and a bigger mess than ever. Unbelievable. Just listened to a voicemail where her phone unknowingly dialed mine. 5-minute conversation of STBX taking my vehicle in the middle of the night with OM wonderful. She insists we live separate lives. What part of taking a vehicle of mine while I am sleeping is living separately? I said I'm not okay with her taking my vehicles without asking, especially to support her and her affair partner. She denied he was in town. Repeated that she got stuck at the movies all by herself. I played her back the voicemail. She did not even flinch. Said it's her vehicle too since it is on a joint insurance policy. I reminded her that it is titled solely to me and I owned before our marriage. I told her if she pulls something like this again, I will press charges against her. She told me I was now harassing her and to leave the house, so she does not have to report me for harassment. Of course, she quickly resumed the role of victim again. STBX told me yesterday that in the last 6 months her behavior was out of character, pursuing an affair, but that she will never accept any responsibility for getting our marriage into a state where she felt the need to walk away with OM. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Well, excuse me, went to pick my kids up tonight so STBX could go to book club. Was not my not night to have them. But, hey, went ahead in good faith. Had a tough day and was a little impatient inside while she was packing up things. She said it was a reminder of what she had to endure from me. Well, every time I pull in the driveway of my home, I am reminded of how she left for another man while I was abroad. Lied about it. and how I never returned to my home. I was reprimanded for that statement and changing the tone of my voice. Seriously, she set a very difficult set of standards to live by. No flexibility, double standards galore. Still, I am a mess over our life together ending. Emotions trump logic, yet again. How the hell did I get this way? There's no reason I should want to be with a woman who acts like this. Does she really believe that this bottom-kissing clown has any investment in her other than getting her into bed? I need to detach. I need to let go. But I don't know how. I feel like a failure as a man. And she in some way preyed upon my child status to maneuver and control me. Maybe this is all my fault after all. So now I just work on myself and I see while she continues with OM and see if she files for D in the interim or somehow sees me as more attractive than OM. Wonderful is life. I am having a hard time with my self-worth now that I can clearly see how she really has thrown me out like a piece of trash, trying to make sense of how it all went terribly wrong. I broke down earlier today when I learned about her long weekend with him. I need to figure out how to live well, for my own sanity and well-being. Sweet and sad day all in the same. Took my girls to the pool. They are so pure and beautiful. Still couldn't help but have those pangs of sadness about what's going on right now. Dad and the girls at the pool on a Saturday. Meanwhile, Mom is 1,000 miles away living a new parallel life with OM. She will return on Monday and get back to her Facebook life with neighborhood friends like it never happened. Life is grand. My comment, Part 2 ending will come out today as well. Do you think OP will grow a spine? Find out in Part 2 and learn to stay strong in your relationships.